Tracking value in China's delivery market. Involution among Chinese delivery platforms has threatened social harmony. In early 2025, China's food delivery market erupted into conflict. This was instigated by Chinese e-commerce giant JD.com, which had recently announced it would enter the sector, threatening established leaders Meituan and Ele.me. JD is an online retailer that operates primarily in China. Its traditional business model had focused on high-value goods such as appliances and electronics, which it sold through its website of the same name. Then the company launched JD Takeaway, its foray into the food delivery space. JD went full offensive, launching a massive subsidy campaign in a bid to win over consumers. Across the country, orders were input for 3 yen coffee and 25 off 24 meals. To support the launch, JD accompanied the statement with a number of promises. These included low vendor fees, rider insurance, worker protection policies, and importantly, an open platform policy. A key part of JD's strategy is to win over the industry's delivery couriers, who often work under intense pressure and rigid time limits enforced by the incumbents' algorithms. What are these algorithms? Food delivery giants like Meituan or Ele.me employ them to assign drivers to deliveries and compute estimated time and pricing for deliveries. How it works is that as soon as a customer places an order, the system immediately searches for the nearest driver to fulfill the request. Based on the driver's location, restaurant prep times, and present traffic conditions, it begins to plot a route for the courier to take. Using real-time computation, data processing, and machine learning, the algorithms set an estimated time based on historical data. If the order runs late, the courier is alerted via the software. With data smoothing and regression analysis, the algorithms update their estimates based on what they see as achievable goals. Times beating prior records result in the software setting stricter targets. Faster deliveries, consistent attendance, and positive ratings all result in greater satisfaction for consumers, and therefore are heavily incentivized. The KPIs of these algorithms are set with the goal of driving greater traffic, and were determined in the environment of China's previous delivery war, in which platforms fought an intense competition to seize market share in delivery. To survive in this war, it was essential to drive greater traffic, both on the rider and on the consumer sides. This allowed platforms to lower costs per user and gain the data needed to efficiently dispatch riders. In the aftermath of this bloody war, 2 platforms emerged, Meituan and Ele.me, which controlled an approximate 98% of the market, establishing what was in effect a duopoly. This carried on for a number of years until Chinese magazine Renwu released an investigation under the title, "Delivery Workers Trapped in the System." The report highlighted a number of abuses by the system, such as the death of Dr. Li Mukyu. 75-year-old Li, who helped found emergency departments at 2 of Shanghai's major hospitals, was knocked down by an Ele.me driver carrying takeout near the crossing of Zhongshan South 2nd Road and Kaohsi Road. In order to avoid a late fee, the driver had resorted to speeding in a lane close to motorized vehicles. After a month in the ICU, Li passed away, and his family sued Ele.me for its practices. A similar case occurred in 2019 when a delivery rider in Jiangxi was in a hurry to make a delivery and hit a passerby who entered a vegetative state. In 2021, Ele.me faced public backlash after it offered 2,000 yen, a mere $300, in compensation to the family of a 43-year-old employee, after the latter died delivering the company's packages. Accidents like this occur all the time across the nation. A 2021 survey of 343 riders revealed that nearly 20% of them worked over 12 hours a day. More than 88% admitted they would violate traffic rules in order to deliver orders on time. Other bad faith practices occurred, such as forcing riders to accept orders exclusively on one platform or withholding and docking pay. Public backlash erupted when an Ele.me driver doused himself in gasoline and set himself on fire to protest withheld earnings. What became obvious is that the then industry practices could not continue. This is likely the opportunity JD management intended to exploit. The misconduct of the 2 giants was outlined by the company in the post, "Open Letter to All Delivery Rider Brothers." While not specifically naming any competitors, it is hard not to see it as an attack on Meituan. The post accuses the platform of illegal and irregular behavior and elaborates, 你可以是纪念不为任何一名骑手脚拿无限一金。你可以用强大的算法对骑手基金压榨智能时，你可以长期对骑手事故率超过快递销个3倍以上的安全问题。只若网文，你可以在约60%以上门店都不赚钱的餐饮。银行也赚取千亿利润，丝毫不顾餐饮从业者的艰辛和挣扎，你还可以在超过40%毛利的有另外卖暴利去时下，纵容和鼓励有另外卖大行其道，丝毫不顾及消费者的食品安全。但是，当你今天竟然为了维护自己的垄断地位，为了自己的商业利益，对数百万名底层骑手们再次进行二选一，让他们的收入大幅降低，你们忘了老祖宗的一句话：谁能在周一能福州？望你们好自为之，早日回头是岸。You could go over a decade without paying social insurance and housing funds for any of your delivery drivers. You could use powerful algorithms to exploit them to the utmost. You could long turn a blind eye to the safety issues of delivery drivers, whose accident rate is over 3 times that of delivery drivers. You could rake in hundreds of billions of yen in profits in a restaurant industry where over 60% of restaurants are unprofitable, with no regard for the hardships and struggles of those working there. You could also, driven by the exorbitant profits of over 40% for ghost delivery, condone and encourage the rampant operation with no regard for consumer food safety. But today, to maintain your monopoly and for your own commercial interests, you are once again forcing millions of low-income delivery drivers to choose between 2 options, significantly reducing their incomes. You have forgotten the old saying, water can carry a boat, but it can also capsize it. I hope you will take care of yourself. Turn back soon. JD Takeaway announced that it would provide its full-time couriers with comprehensive social insurance and housing fund contributions, wuxian yijin. The 5 insurances and 1 fund, as the name translates to, are made up of pension, unemployment, medical, injury, and maternity insurance, alongside a housing fund to give laborers access to affordable housing. The initiatives highlight the real target of JD's venture, the infrastructure that forms the backbone of Chinese last-mile logistics. JD's current business focuses on big-ticket items. This can be seen in the company's reputation as a trusted and quality-focused retailer. The downside of these big-ticket items is that they exhibit low purchase frequencies, with customers only visiting the site on occasion. Last-mile logistics make up the final step in delivery, transporting goods from a central hub or station to the customer's doorstep. Complex and labor-intensive, last-mile deliveries represent the most present and consumer-facing part of any logistics chain. Food delivery in particular is a great example of this, with consumers interacting with applications every day to order meals. This makes the industry an ideal medium for user engagement, enticing corporations even if margins remain low. The value of the market prompted Meituan and Ele.me to respond. Both companies launched their own subsidy programs and announced they would expand social insurance for their full-time and stable part-time riders. 2-tier insurance programs give workers a minimum contribution of 60% of local wages, with the option to increase this contribution level should they choose to. Platforms contribute half of the minimum contribution, and riders will even retain these benefits after leaving the platform. But price wars escalated to the point that platforms started offering food for free, at which point Chinese authorities stepped in to regulate the industry and restore order. Involution among competitors has had deleterious social effects, pressure from the war-forced restaurants to cut back on prices, and some resorted to employing ghost kitchens. Delivery-only sites not subject to the same hygiene standards as traditional restaurants. Restaurants and riders were quickly swamped with orders, and billions were wasted in an attempt to take market share in an industry that was saturated. Involution is increasingly gaining traction among Chinese policymakers. July's Politburo meeting set Beijing's priorities for 2025. Of the 3 main priorities, a new one emerged: The battle against deflationary pressures caused by disorderly competition and overcapacity. Known as Meituan in Mandarin, involution is destroying industries from coffee to new energy vehicles to food delivery. In the latter, players see a winner-take-all market whereby they might undercut the competition and drive them out, allowing them to set pricing and labor standards unilaterally. What results from this hyper-capitalism are the extreme price wars currently fought by Chinese entrepreneurs in the hope that they might outscale their competitors. It is easy to see why these dynamics exist. More orders on a platform result in better economics. With a denser network, a single delivery rider can pick up and deliver at multiple stops in the same journey. Without state intervention, players will pursue involution. As it stands, workers and vendors have always been collateral damage in this warfare. Class relations of the industry reinforce this. A single platform aggregates numerous restaurants, drivers, and consumers, presenting a unified marketplace that connects elements from these three groups. The groups themselves essentially have no organization and operate on an atomized level, often competing with each other in the case of vendors and drivers. Low organization levels result in low bargaining power, allowing platforms to partially push costs onto these groups to fund the wars. Where previously lack of funding would cause these industries to consolidate, ending their subsidies and agreeing to cooperate, low bargaining power among their constituents and access to outside capital allow unsustainable practices to continue longer than otherwise possible. Rock-bottom pricing and heavy expenses mean individuals and businesses no longer meet their cost of living/cost of capital. Living standards collapse. Investment necessary to maintain quality and safety standards is not met. Consumers may benefit, but the nation does not.